Hey again, it's Mrs. Marquette. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the second half of 7.3, which is composition of functions. So this is the notation that you're going to see today. It's f of g of x. That's how it's read. So write that down, f of g of x. Say it out loud, f of g of x. What you'll notice is this maybe looks a little bit like multiplication, like f of x times g of x, but that is not what it is. All right, notice that this has x written twice. Here, it's written only once. So I have f, and then g is inside of x. What's happening here is that g of x is actually the input for f. Okay, so we're kind of like taking one function and plugging it into a new function. So let's look at a couple examples here. Number 3 should be number 1, but this number 3 says let f of x be 2x and g of x be x plus 1 and perform the operation. So this f of g of x, I need to do some substitution, and I'm going to do it starting in the very inside parentheses, just like order of operations usually. So I have f, but then I actually want to replace what's g of x with what I know it is. So g of x is x plus 1, so I'm going to put it right in there. Okay, and then I got to think, like, f of x is 2x. Okay, so if f of x is 2x, if I do a little side work here, I can replace x really with anything that I want, because remember that this just means the input. So if I change this to f of y, this would become 2y. If I change this to f of 2, this would be 2 times 2. If I change this to f of smiley face, this is 2 smiley face. So I can plug in anything I want for x. This time I'm plugging in x plus 1. So I want to think, if I plug in x plus 1, the 2 doesn't change. What changes is instead of x, or instead of smiley face, or instead of 2, I'm going to put a 2 or an x plus 1. Okay, so that's what I'm going to write here. This becomes 2, and then I'll keep it in blue, x plus 1. So notice this x plus 1 matches this x plus 1. Okay, so I've totally substituted out x. Now I can distribute, and I get 2x plus 2. That might be a little confusing the first time that you see it. You've got to always be matching what's in the parentheses. Your input has to match the variable in your actual problem. So here I've got x and x, and then in my final answer I have x plus 1 and x plus 1. Let's try another one. G of f of x. This time, what's in the very inside parentheses is f of x. So this will become g of whatever f is. So I get 2x. Now, little side work. G of x is x plus 1, meaning g of y is y plus 1. G of 2 is 2 plus 1. You get the picture. G of smiley face is smiley face plus 1. Okay, so when I plug into x, I've got to match what's in the parentheses to what shows up in my actual problem. So this is, instead of smiley face, going to be 2x plus 1. Okay, so again, I matched what's here to what's here. So g of 2x is equal to 2x plus 1. This time I don't have to distribute because I didn't have the 2 outside the parentheses, so I just have 2x plus 1. Let's try another set. We have f of x is x plus 1, g of x is 2x minus 1. So the first thing they ask us to do is do f of g of x. So I start at the very inside parentheses. F of g, so g is 2x minus 1. And then I'm thinking, okay, f of x is x plus 1. So I've got to match what's ever there for x with what's in the problem. So this, instead of x, I'm going to put a 2x minus 1. And then the plus 1 is still in the problem. So before I had f of x equals x plus 1. Now I've got f of 2x minus 1 equals 2x minus 1 plus 1. And then I can simplify. This becomes 2x minus 1 plus 1, or just 2x. Try B. We have g of f of x. This time we start at f of x. So g of x plus 1. And I'm thinking, okay, what is g of x? So g of x is 2x minus 1. So that's 2 times whatever x is minus 1. In this case, my x, what's in the parentheses, what I have to match is x plus 1. Okay, so now when I simplify, I get 2x plus 2 minus 1 is 2x plus 1. So notice I'm getting different answers when I plug f into g or g into f, so you really have to be careful about which one you're plugging in. And finally, I've got f of f. So this time g isn't even a factor. I'm just saying, okay, f of f is f of whatever f is, so x plus 1. And now I look again at f. So f is whatever x is, plus 1. This time around, that happens to be x plus 1. So I get x plus 1, or x plus 2. Hopefully as you practice this, it'll get a little easier each time. I would really, if it helps, write down all of these examples, like get used to one particular function by plugging stuff into it before you go for that final one. This last one actually ties together everything we've done so far. So we have f of x is x squared, g of x is x plus 4, and then we're doing some composition, and then also a little review of adding and subtracting. So f of x, or f of g of x, is f of whatever g is. In this case, g is x plus 4. And then f is x squared. Okay, so I'm saying if this x matches this x, then x plus 4 matches x plus 4. And we can actually simplify x plus 4 squared. That's x plus 4 times x plus 4. And then we can multiply. We get x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16. Okay, so we FOILed. Or x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now we're going to go the other direction. G of f of x. This time, start with f of x. We have g of whatever f is. F happens to be x squared. And then looking at g, g is x plus 4. So I get whatever x is plus 4. Okay. I have to match what's in my parentheses, which within my parentheses. Simplify, just get x squared plus 4. Okay, so those are usually the tougher ones when you're just starting out practicing. So definitely look at those practice problems. But then just as a reminder of what we did last video, we have f plus g of x. F of x is x squared. G of x is x plus 4. I'm going to put parentheses around the two functions. But in this case, the parentheses don't really change anything. I get x squared plus x plus 4. I have no like terms, so I can leave it just like that. And then f minus g is x squared minus x plus 4. Remember, this is the one where the parentheses really make a difference, because I have to remember that this negative 1 has to distribute. So I get x squared minus x minus 4 as my final answer. So I would definitely go and look at some practice problems on the composition. You can go back, see if you could try these ones by yourself again, or rewatch the video if you need to. I am always here if you need any help.